Welcome to Yawdvybz TV. Before we start, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share with a friend. Now on to the news. Sydney Pagan STEM Academy students sent home early amid viral video. Classes were suspended at Sydney Pagan STEM Academy in St. Elizabeth this morning, and students sent home after a female teacher had what is suspected to be a mental health breakdown. In a video circulating on social media platforms, the teacher is seen killing a chicken and preying on the school's compound. Though stating that he was unaware of the video being circulated, the school's principal, Milbert Miller, indicated that the school made a decision to send the students home because of a situation on the compound. Miller, however, noted that students sitting Caribbean Examination Council exams were not affected. 1 dead, 2 injured after truck overturns on highway. 2 persons have been rushed to hospital, while another is dead after their vehicle overturned near the Old Harbor exit of the P.J. Patterson Highway in St. Catherine on Wednesday afternoon. The Fire Brigade's Divisional Commander for St. Catherine, Superintendent Dennis Lyon, says the Old Harbor Fire Station was alerted about the crash about 5:19 p.m. Lyon says the truck overturned into a ditch along the highway, trapping the deceased man, who remains unidentified. Fire personnel had to await the assistance of a wrecker to retrieve the man's body from beneath the truck. Relatives of the deceased who arrived on the scene complained about how long it took for the fire services to free the man's body. Ex-cop charged in St. Thomas robbery and abduction. The policeman, who was arrested last week in connection with an abduction and $2.1 million robbery in St. Thomas, has been charged with several corruption-related offenses, officials have confirmed. Constable Raniel McGregor and his co-accused, ex-cop Lonnie Perky, made their first court appearance today, where more details of their alleged crime were disclosed. McGregor is charged with robbery and breaches of the Corruption Prevention Act. Perky was charged on Tuesday with kidnapping, use of a firearm to commit a felony, robbery with aggravation, assault at common law, and breaches of the Corruption Prevention Act. Both men were each granted bail in the sum of $2 million when they appeared before a judge at the St. Thomas Parish Court. Stop orders have been placed on them at the ports, and they were both ordered to report to the police every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Prosecutors alleged in court that Perky and McGregor were among 3 men who corruptly solicited $5 million and corruptly accepted $2 million from a St. Thomas man, as a promise to omit to do an act in the performance of his public function. Investigators believe the victim of the $2 million robbery was set up by a close friend who he told he had collected a large sum of money. However, Donovan Collins, the attorney representing Perky, has indicated that there is surveillance footage which clearly showed his client at work in St. Mary at a time that would make it impossible for him to be in St. Thomas committing the alleged offense. McGregor is represented by attorney Ricardo Gray. Both accused are scheduled to return to court on June 14th. 2 killed in movie-like shooting. Burnside Valley in Red Hills, St. Andrew, was like a scene out of a cowboy movie yesterday as 2 men, who reportedly came into the usually quiet community firing shots, were shot dead. The deceased have been identified as Theo Bailey and Quayne Lee. Another man, who was not identified, was injured in the shooting. A senior police officer told the news team that both men were killed after they shot and injured another man in the community. The incident took place shortly after 9 a.m. What we understand is that the deceased men came to the injured man's workplace and started firing shots at him and chased him. The injured man ran towards his house, and they chased him and kicked off his door. We are not sure what happened after, but we understand that a relative got involved and retaliated and shot both men, the policeman said. When the shooting subsided, the injured man was transported to the hospital where he was treated. Lee's mother wept openly when she showed up at the crime scene and saw her son's body. Fada, "What have I ever done so wrong, Jesus?" She wailed, "Queen, why you lie down in a dirt? Look pon me pick me, Fada God. Queen, please get up and come. Me pray fi God cover me pick me damn, but it come like God block him ears from me. Fada God, why you do this to me?" According to Lee's mother, her 21-year-old son had plans of joining his father in Canada. She last saw him and the other deceased man on Saturday when they visited her home and did some repairs to her roof. She said that she pleaded with him to come and live with her and his younger siblings, but he rejected the offer. "Me Pickney ain't a troublemaker, and you haffy trouble him fee him trouble you. Father, me left everything in your hands, and 'member me tell you say, me alone now weep God," she added. St. Andrew woman charged for allegedly stabbing boyfriend. A St. Andrew woman has been arrested and charged after she allegedly stabbed her boyfriend several times during a dispute. 29-year-old Havake Brown of Mount Ogle District, Lawrence Tavern, has been charged with wounding with intent. The Constant Spring police say about 11:45 a.m. on May 12th, Brown and her boyfriend had a dispute. The police say the dispute became physical, and Brown allegedly pulled a knife and stabbed the man several times. He was assisted to the hospital where he was admitted in serious condition. Brown's court date is being finalized. Holness pushes back at opposition on constitutional reform report. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says he is disappointed, but not surprised at the opposition People's National Party's PNP refusal to sign off on the constitutional reform report. The report from the Constitutional Reform Committee, CRC, is being reviewed by Cabinet, but opposition leader Mark Golding warned that it would not get consensus in Parliament, where entrenched provisions require the votes of opposition members. Golding had instructed opposition members of the committee not to sign the document after concerns were raised about several matters, fundamental among them a decision on the country's final court. The opposition leader has been adamant that there would be no compromise on making the Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ, Jamaica's apex court. Further, he said the reform process should have had a single phase, insisting that Jamaica's severance from the British monarchy must be twinned with a departure from the United Kingdom-based Privy Council as its final court. However, Holness, who has for the first time lent his voice to the constitutional reform process discourse, said he had deliberately refrained from making any comments lest it be construed politically and used as an excuse to derail the process. But speaking to journalists at this morning's post-cabinet press briefing, Holness sought to add context to the public conversation on the issue. He argued that from the outset, the opposition had objected to the formation of a new CRC, stating that the reform process should continue on the work of the previous parliamentary committee. He stated that the PNP had also declined to name members to the CRC and only did so after Vale Royal talks in February. And we came to an understanding that the process would be a phased process, that we would move on the matters on which we agree, which would be Jamaica becoming a republic. The other matters, which were a little more complex and which consensus ought to be fully realized, that would come in the second phase of the process, he said, stating that he had a reasonable expectation that the review process was proceeding in good faith. After the talks, Holness suggested that the opposition was politicizing the process. "I am not surprised that they would have tried to find every way out of seeing this process through its rightful conclusion," he said. "I speak to you today as Prime Minister of the country, not as leader of a political party seeking power, but as someone who is genuinely interested in the advance of our country, and so I want to assure Jamaicans that the process continues," stated. Holness did not state the government's position on the removal of the Privy Council as the country's final court of appeal. Despite a commitment from Marlene Malahou Fort, Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs and co-chair of the CRC, in October last year, that Holness would address the issue in short order. Many have bought into the narrative that the government has been unclear about it. The government has not been unclear about it. The government has said that as part of the move to make Jamaica a republic, We will decide on a final court, Malahou-Fort said at the post-cabinet press briefing. As we look on the issue of a final court, we must also look at the issue of justice, the kind of justice, the philosophy of the court, having had the experience that we have. What it is that will be in the best interest of Jamaicans to use the old system or resort to a different system, she stated. The Prime Minister, in the meantime, lauded the consultative efforts of the CRC, describing them as quite extensive. I would like to say to Jamaicans that the efforts that the government has made is not in vain. That we will continue to pursue consensus because the truth is you cannot disturb the constitutional and governance architecture of the country without consensus, and consensus takes time and it takes effort, he said. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share with a friend.